Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Amy Burkett. As construction picks up steam, companies supplying building materials are booming. According to Metro Study, we've almost doubled the number of new residential homes across the Charlotte area in the last 5 years. In 2012, there were 6,600 single-family homes under construction. That's now grown to just shy of 11,000. Charlotte now ranks 7th in the nation in home building, and that's good news for a local company supplying wallboard for residential and commercial projects throughout the Southeast. Carolina Impact's Jeff Rivenbark takes us inside National Gypsum's state-of-the-art Gaston County plant.
In a matter of minutes, construction workers install drywall at this church school in South Charlotte. When you see drywall at a commercial or residential job site in our area, there's a good chance it came from here, National Gypsum's plant in Mount Holly. Betty Logan spends much of her day walking from one end of this 400,000 square foot plant to another.
Some days you may get those 8,000, 10,000 steps in.
As quality supervisor, she and her team test drywall samples to ensure every sheet coming off the production line meets company standards.
When I came into the industry, I was blown away by the process itself. It doesn't take but a short period of time to make thousands of square feet of board, and it's amazing.
It all starts here behind the plant, where about 100 trucks dump byproduct gypsum, which is produced when coal-fired power plants use a process called flue gas desulfurization, or FGD, to reduce sulfur dioxide emissions into the atmosphere.
A lot of the stuff that we bring in from Duke Energy is our primary raw material is FGD, would have gone to a landfill.
Machines grind the gypsum into stucco, and it's mixed with water and other materials to make this thick gray liquid substance called slurry.
That slurry is sandwiched between 2 layers of paper, and it goes down what we call a board line, and we form edges. So by the time it gets down to the far end of the line, which is a half a mile long, the board is actually hardened and able to cut to the point we can cut it to lengths.
Along the production line, cameras and computers collect data, ensuring everything's working as it should. Sharp knives cut the wallboard, and it's dried before large machines fold and bind the massive sheets together. The Mount Holly plant produces about 2 million square feet of drywall, or about 100 truckloads daily. In a year, the plant makes enough wallboard to build about 100,000 average-size homes.
This plant's geographically located where we can reach into Florida, we can ship into Georgia, South Carolina, or even push up into the mid-Atlantic states at a very low cost.
When a natural disaster strikes,
as Louisiana struggles with historic floods, residents begin to wonder what next.
The company ramps up operations to supply what's needed.
They just had the issues down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana area, and we worked very closely with one of our major customers to actually supply those warehouses. We produced extra product and shipped it down there and made sure they were ready to react to their customers in the area.
For a plant that generates so much product, there's only 85 employees who work here.
For the size of the facility, you'll see very few employees out there. When things run well and everything is behaving properly and following the automation sequence, there's not much to do.
The plant's also received international recognition.
In 2015, this plant was recognized as the Global Gypsum Plant of the Year, which means it was recognized as the best gypsum manufacturing plant in the world. And that's all accredited to the good people that work here and the teams we have in place.
The National Gypsum Company started in 1925 in Buffalo, New York. Back then, sales representatives would take the wallboard to a lumber company, put it on sawhorses, and stack window weights to prove how strong the board was. In 1993, C.D. Spangler Jr. purchased the company and moved the headquarters to South Charlotte, where about 300 people work today. In addition to the Mount Holly location, the company has 16 other operating plants, 7 gypsum quarries, 3 paper mills, and 10 plants that produce other products. When the company decided to build the Mount Holly plant in 2007, it was a major economic game changer for Gaston County.
Their establishment here allows us to recruit other companies. It allows us to kind of have a good housekeeping seal of approval that if National Gypsum chose this location, it must be fairly good. Since they've come, we've had a huge run from European investment and also from a lot of advanced manufacturing companies that are located in and around the county.
When you're trying to lure companies, Hicks says it's also important to show you've got a skilled workforce to fill jobs.
And the best way to prove that is to have somebody that's already here doing those types of things. So having National Gypsum here with the type of sophisticated process that they have is a way that we can prove that our workforce can run these types of facilities. And it has helped us.
Back on the production line, Betty Logan says she feels a great sense of pride.
I have driven up to work sites, job sites, and I looked at the board and I see that time code and I see that 029, and I know it came from Mount Holly. I know it's a quality product. You're building communities. You're making dreams come true.
She's grateful to work for a company that makes it possible for others to build or rebuild communities one wall at a time. For Carolina Impact, I'm Jeff Rivenbark reporting.
Thanks so much, Jeff. National Gypsum employs about 2,100 people across the United States and Canada.